Good morning, students. In the previous lecture, we have discussed the spherical mirrors. So, we have discussed two types of mirrors, concave and convex mirrors. Of course, we have discussed what are the terms that are related to understand the images formed by concave and convex mirrors. Once again, just if you recall, this is a part of a spherical mirror. Of course, it is a hollow glass sphere. From this we have taken a part. Of course, if it is uh, extended, of course we are going to get a sphere. It is just made with glass. Now from this I have taken this part. Now it is having the center C, and now I am going to do one thing, that is, I have taken the part of a sphere and I am naming the two ends as A and B. A and B are the two ends of the spherical mirror, and of course here I have silvered this end. It means this side is silvered. If this side is silvered, then this glass part is going to act as a reflecting surface on this side. So this side, that is, this surface is S1 and this surface is S2. S2 surface, this surface is silvered and this surface is going to become the reflecting surface. If this is becoming a very good reflecting surface, I can call it as a mirror, and this mirror, that is nothing but concave mirror. This is concave because this side is like a cave, and as already we have discussed in the earlier lecture, that is, AB is the spherical mirror and the midpoint, the geometric center of AB, I am taking it as a pole. So P is for pole. So the geometric center, it is acting like a pole AB, and of course this distance from A to B, this distance is nothing but aperture. Aperture means the distance between the two endpoints. What are the two endpoints of the spherical mirror? A and B are the two endpoints of the spherical mirror, and this distance is nothing but aperture, and P is the pole or vertex. Some people can call it as vertex or pole because this is the geometric center. Now I have taken a line, an imaginary line, which is joining C and P. Already at the beginning I told C, this is the center of sphere of which this part, the spherical mirror, is a part of it. Actually this C, when we have extended this one, this is sphere. For that sphere, this is the center. And now for this spherical mirror, AB, the C is acting as center of curvature. C for center of curvature. Center of curvature. Now already we have discussed some points, like if you know the distance from P to C or CP. So what is CP here? CP from C to P, already you know this is the center and this is the point on the surface of the sphere. Now from the distance from C to P is nothing but radius. So with respect to the spherical mirror, I can call it as radius of curvature. Radius of curvature. So CP I can take as radius of curvature, because already know this is the center of the sphere and P is a point on the surface. Now from C to P, this distance from here to here, I can call this one as radius. Okay, this is what I have written there. Now again, I am going to do one thing, that is, already I told, for example, a light ray which is parallel to the principal axis and which is very close to the principal axis, after striking a point, after striking a point on the spherical mirror, then it will reflect. How it will reflect? If you want to know, then what you have to do? Now this is the incident ray, and I take this is the point of incidence. If I take this is A, B, C, D, E. If I take DE, E is the point of incidence. Okay, then you have to draw the reflected ray. When you want to draw the reflected ray, before drawing the reflected ray, the fundamental point is draw the normal. Normal means what? Already we discussed that. Now, if I take like a circle now, I have taken a point on the circumference of the circle. Now I have drawn just a line which is touching a point on the circumference. So for this line, the line which I am drawing from the center to this point is making 90 degrees with this straight line which is touching a point on the circumference, which is nothing but tangent. Even here also I take a point and I have drawn the tangent, means a straight line touching a point. It is a straight line touching a point which is a tangent. Then I have drawn a line from center to this point, again it is making 90 degrees. Again here a point I have taken, just I have drawn in from center. Means from center if you draw a line to a point, okay, on that circumference, then we are going to tell that it is going to make and it is going to act as normal here. So what we can say? So this is going to be normal. So center to this one. If this is the normal, then what is this one? Angle of incidence. Because this is the incident ray and this is the normal. Angle between incident ray and normal is called angle of incidence. If angle of incidence is, if this is angle of incidence, then reflected ray we have to draw the other side of the normal. So this is the normal. Okay. Now this is the incident ray, then this is the reflected ray. So this side we have to draw. Now this is the reflected ray. Okay. So EG is the reflected ray. Now again I am going to take another point, another incident ray. This incident ray I will take GHI. So I is the point of incidence, HI is the incident ray. Another. Now HI is also parallel to the principal axis. Now very close to the principal axis. After that what happens? It will reflect. How it will reflect? I have to draw the reflected ray. Then if I want to know how it will reflect, then first of all I have to draw the normal. Again same, from center. From center. Again what I have to do? Again a line drawn from center to this point of incidence. Then that line is going to become normal. If it is normal, then this is the incident ray. The angle between normal and incident ray, again it is angle of incidence. Then I will take this side. Then what I will do? So this is the reflected ray. Now you see this reflected ray and this reflected ray both are meeting at a point on the principal axis. That point we call it as principal focus, F, capital F. Principal focus means when the light rays are parallel with each other and they are parallel to the principal axis, after striking the spherical mirror, they will reflect such that the reflected rays will meet at a point on the principal axis. That point we call it as principal focus. This is, and of course these incident rays what I have taken, they are very close to the principal axis. That is the condition what I have taken. So when the light rays which are parallel to each other and parallel to the principal axis, after striking the spherical mirrors, they reflect such that the reflected rays will meet at a point. That point we call it as, that is principal focus. So this meeting point or converging point, this is the converging point. That's why called, okay. So principal focus. With respect to this converging point only, we call concave mirror is also converging mirror. This is converging. We call it as converging mirror also, because the light rays are meeting, really meeting. So they are converging. Now this is the principal focus. Now I want to Just for clarity, just I want to erase all these. So this is the P. So this is the point where the reflector rays have met in the previous diagram. That point we call principal focus, and the distance from F to P, this distance is nothing but focal length. So I can say here PF is focal length denoted by letter small f. So this length PF is focal length, which is denoted by letter small f, and PC is nothing but radius of curvature, capital R. And now this focal length, this length, that is the distance from this point to this point, that length depends upon the radius of curvature. So radius of curvature, when the radius of curvature is changing, focal length also changes. There is a relation between radius of curvature and focal length. So whenever the focal length is changing, means whenever the radius of curvature is changing, the focal length also changes. That we want to discuss now. And of course, I can say F is the midpoint of C and P. F exactly will be at the midpoint of C and P. This is P and C. F will be in the midpoint of C and P. Now that we will discuss now. Okay. Now what I want to discuss is, I want to give the relation between R and F. R and F. What is R? R is nothing but radius of curvature, that is the distance from C to P, and focal length is nothing but the distance from F to P. There is a relation between them. Okay, that relation we will discuss now. Here I want to discuss one point. I have taken an incident ray which is parallel to the principal axis, and let me name it is, this is A, B, C, D, E. Now after striking, then it will pass through this point, that is the principal focus, as we have discussed. Because if you have any doubt, again what you do, just a line drawn from C to that point. What is this point? This point is point of incidence. D is the incident ray. Now this line is going to act as normal, as we discussed in the previous. Now if it is normal, this is the incident ray, then this is angle of incidence, I. If the angle of incidence is this one, then what is this one? Angle of reflection, R. So this is angle of reflection and this is the angle of incidence. Okay. Now from geometry we can say that we know angle DEC. Angle DEC is equal to angle I. Angle CEF is angle R. But we know from the laws of reflection, angle I is equal to angle R. From the laws of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Then what I can say? Angle DEC is equal to angle CEF. Okay, this is what I can say. Now now at the same time, from the figure we can say this angle is equal to this angle. Here, let me take it is alpha. So here CE is one line, CF is one line. Now between the CF and CE, I am going to get an angle. Let me call that angle as alpha. So what is alpha? ECF. Angle ECF is equal to alpha. ECF is equal to alpha. Am I right? And I can say alpha is equal to I. Angle alpha is equal to angle I. Why? Since this angle and this angle are alternate. Okay. So from the concept of transversal. Okay. From the concepts of transversal, I can say these two are alternates. Okay. This angle and this angle are alternate. Okay. When alpha is equal to I, then what I can write here? Angle DAC is equal to angle angle ECF. Because alpha is equal to y, and similarly angle DEC is equal to CEF. So we can say that is so now you see angle DEC is equal to CEF and angle DEC is equal to ECF. So ECF is equal to CEF. Okay. Now I can say CEF is R, ECF is alpha. So I can say angle ECF is equal to angle CEF. So this angle equal to this angle and this angle equal to this angle. So angle R is equal to angle alpha. So if I take triangle ECF, it is isosceles. So if I take this triangle ECF, this triangle is isosceles. Why? Because this angle is equal to this angle. As it is isosceles, I can say this side CF and FE both are equal. So CF is equal to FE. So therefore, from that, as triangle is ECF is isosceles, we can say CF is equal to FE. Now I am coming to one condition. What is the condition? If the aperture is very small, AB aperture is very small, means the length between A to B, this length from A to B, if this diameter means from A to B, if this is very small, it is very small like this. Like that we are making the aperture. This is, if I take this is A and this is B, this is the aperture. If this is very small, as it is becoming very, very small, then what happens? E will be near to P. If E is very near to P, means this DE comes here. If E is very near to P, then it will not be a curved. Then if E is here, then we can say it is straight. So assume that the aperture is very small and D is very close to the principal axis. This D is here. When D is here, then the E will be here. When E is here, then it is going to be a straight line. When it is going to be a straight line, then what I can say, E is very close to P. So I can say instead of FE, I can write it is FP. So it is going to be FP. Condition, if aperture is small. When aperture is very small, then we can say this FE, E comes here, so FE is going to become FP, very simple. But already we know FP is nothing but focal length, or PF, whatever it may be, FP or PF, that is going to be focal length. Okay, so this is what you should understand. So this length already CF, and we know CP. What is CP? CP is equal to CF. CP is equal to CF plus FP, and we know CF is equal to FP. CF is equal to FP. So I can say that already I know FP is nothing but F. So in the place of CF I can write FP plus FP. Then I can say F plus F, that is equal to 2F. And already you know CP is nothing but R. So therefore I can say that what is the relation between R and F? R is equal to 2F. Then F is equal to R by 2. So for example, if the focal length is 10 centimeters, then what is radius? Radius is going to be 20 centimeters. So radius is going to be 20 centimeters. If focal length is 40 centimeters, what is radius? Radius is going to be 80. For example, if radius is 30 centimeters, then what is focal length? F is equal to R by 2, then it is going to be 15 centimeters, like that. So this is how the relations between focal length and radius. So focal length depends upon the radius of curvature. That is what we discuss here. Okay, R is equal to 2F. The very important, whenever the mirrors you are taking, how can you increase the focal length, how can you decrease the focal length? It depends upon the radius of curvature of the mirror, how you are designing it. Thank you.